Hello and welcome to the Fit and Fabulous podcast at any age. Today's podcast is a little different. I have my husband of 13 years and a coach for Fierce Queen Fitness here with us today. None of our coaches could make it today, so I thought who better to have on than my husband, who has been coaching women with Fierce Queen Fitness, since we started this business. My husband has a degree in exercise physiology, over a decade of coaching. He's a nutritionist, he's a stress management coach. And so I feel like today we're going to dive into what we see because out of all of my coaches, let's be honest, me and Jordan have been coaching the longest. We have the most experience in this. So we're going to talk about today the real reason why women aren't losing weight, especially over the age 30, 40, and 50 plus, and why what you've been told is completely wrong. So I'm Brooklyn. If you guys are new to the podcast, I'm Brooklyn, your host today, co-host today with Jordan. Really the biggest thing that we want to dive in today and the things that matter the most is women aren't stuck because of discipline. They're stuck because they're given the wrong plan, the wrong coaching. And today we're going to do some more myth busting of, the biggest lies of what keeps women stuck from 30 to 50, and why their bodies keep fighting them. So let's dive into the first myth, Jordan. Okay, we always hear
hmm
this for women. This one frustrates me the most because it doesn't. I always tell my clients it doesn't apply to women who are aging. Eat less, and we know this has been the case for me because of my PCOS, right? Like how many times did I try to eat less, move
hmm
more, and it actually resulted in me gaining weight. Um, so let's dive in. Why does eat
hmm
less, move more not work?
Oh, there's a lot of science behind it. By the way, I'm Jordan, everyone, so glad to be here. Um, you know, Eating less, moving more. To put it simply, stress. When we stress our bodies out, the less fuel that we take in, and sometimes eating more doesn't necessarily mean we need to eat this abundance of calories. We just need to eat more of the right things, right? And when we're constantly pushing ourselves, while science and the general consensus, or how do I want to say this, the general education, insights, and advice that you get from most coaches, or what most coaches, the only thing they know is less calories, more work, calories in versus calories out. As true as that is, when you talk to women who are experiencing hormonal imbalances, or as they age and in the different phases and stages of age, and as their bodies change, pushing their bodies to the limit and forcing you to go to the gym for 90 minutes, 2 hours plus a day is sometimes counterproductive to what the body really needs. And so I hope that shares it in the simplest way that I can. There's obviously more science behind that. However, it all boils down to the stress that we're putting our body under, and how that impacts, the hormones and all of those processes, you know. So eating less, working out more, or expending more energy can become very counterproductive, to what we want to do. And this is where the right formula really plays a big role.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like in my journey, the more I restricted myself, like in terms of even like food groups, I felt like more of an urge to just like binge and overeat too. So I think that's another like psychological thing that happens is like as females are naturally driven to want to eat more carbs. Like women just want more carbs. I feel like they crave sugar, they crave carbs. And so when you tell a female to eat less, move more, immediately in their head, they think, I need to eat 1,000 calories a day and I need to go get on the elliptical for an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, or 4 hours. And I need to just walk my life away and run and do all this high intense, go and do like high fit. And so, like, I feel like that's where a lot of women's brains go to is I need to eat less, move more. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really more moderation that needs to happen. You don't need to drop your calories down to 1,000 calories a day, but maybe you need to
Mm-hmm.
drop them a couple hundred, but not drop like 800 calories, subtract 800 calories from what you're eating. A lot of women think they just need to like
Mm-hmm.
starve and then just kill themselves with cardio. And then what happens? Like, yeah, your cortisol increases, which when your cortisol is
Mhm.
elevated, you're going to retain water. You're going to look soft. You're going to look watery. You're not going to have any definition. And then you have your testosterone as a female that will dip, your estrogen drops. And then you have your thyroid output, your T3 to T4 conversion, that slows down, which means your
Mhm.
body, or sorry, your T4 to your T3 conversion slows down, which means you're not going to be burning as much fat. So it's, if anything, like eat less, move more. Women go to this like extreme place, but it's not really their fault
Mhm.
because they've always
No.
been told to do the extremes to get the results. But this will lead a female to being in a place where they're just always inflamed, they're always hungry, maybe they're always binging, and they're always feeling like they're holding and storing fat. And it's because of all those hormonal processes that are happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean there's all these interconnected systems, right? When we talk about hormones, the hormones that do different things, and that you put stress on the body, and when that stress is experienced for prolonged periods of time, and this just ties into the whole, well, let's eat less, and you go over the decades, and it's just push yourself, push yourself, push yourself to the limit. Not only do they, do women, and just in general as human beings, when we have these goals, yeah, that mindset, or that thought that, well, I just got to keep pushing myself harder. Not only are you pushing yourself harder there, but then you've got all the everyday responsibilities that you've got to think about, right?
Yeah.
There's kids, there's your job, there's, I mean, you name it. And then all of the stress that you experience from those situations, well, that's tying into that, you know,
That's
even
true.
though exercise it's a good stress, it's necessary, it's needed. And we know what the data tells us about how good it is for us. But if we're pushing ourselves too hard, we don't give ourselves time to recover. And then we factor in and pile in all the other everyday responsibilities. We're not doing ourselves any services. We're not doing ourselves any favors, especially if we're trying to burn fat and lose weight as a primary goal.
I think that's where women like forget. Like I always tell my clients, I'm like, look, I know this isn't your full-time job to be on top of your nutrition and exercise every day. So we have to make this fit in your life, not the other way around. And I feel like that's where a lot of women get stuck because they think like, oh, well, if I just eat less and move more. But honey, you're forgetting that you also have a lot of stress outside of eat less, move more. That is a huge stressor. If you slash your calories, like a lot of women will be like, oh, if I just eat 1,000 calories a day and I go do the elliptical and I go walk for hours a day or go run, like that I'll lose weight. But a lot of women actually don't lose weight when they do that. If anything, they become more inflamed. And it's because that is not your body's only stressor. You have especially the demographic of women we work with, you have kids that need you. You have,
Hmm.
and when you have kids, you probably aren't getting the greatest sleep in the world, right? You have a job that is probably very demanding of your time and your energy, which is also another stressor. And then you put your calories really low, and then you exercise like a crazy person. Well, no wonder why you can't lose any weight. Like, but a lot of women, it like in their brains, they're like, oh, well, I literally had a client the other day we just signed on, and she's gonna listen to this and she'll laugh. Her coach had her at like 400 calories a day, and then put her up
Hmm.
to 600 calories a day, and then 800 calories a day. And I literally told her, I was like, dude, my 7-year-old doesn't even eat that little. Like, even when he was 2, he wasn't eating that little. Like
Hmm.
women need more food. And if you have like a coach or a program that puts you in this very low restriction place, like I
Hmm.
would like run and like run fast because you're gonna like screw your body over really bad. And this is where a lot of women will notice after they do these type of protocols, gut issues, more hormone issues,
Hmm.
digestive issues, severe bloating.
Hmm.
I don't know. What have you seen with the women you coach that do like these extremes? What are some of the side effects of eating less and moving more to like an extreme place?
Well, a lot of commonalities, right? I mean, it affects our gut microbiome. How our bodies are able to digest food. Mentally and emotionally, they're run down.
Yeah.
They the inability to manage or deal with the stress that is on their plate just
Yeah.
from an everyday responsibility standpoint. Yes, they have these goals, but then they have all of these other people that depend on them, whether it's at home or in the workplace or friends of theirs that they, help out and try to take care of to a degree. Um, it's just, yeah, the stress comes at us from a million different directions. And, when you look at, and again, no two people are the same in what they experience on a day-to-day basis. how stress, how we manifest it outwardly could be different to what's happening internally, right? We might be the most stressed out person, but nobody may ever know. And with a lot of these with a lot of the women that we work with, you know, they're forced to put on a front. They're forced to, show up in a way. And again, as this pertains to women, right? As adults, this is just what we have to do, and especially women. We don't want our kids to see how we feel. And I don't know. I might be going off on a tangent here, but at the end of the day, the emotions, the mental aspect of this, there's all of these different what I look at as aspects of our health and mental and emotional health, our physical health. All of these things are interconnected. That's going to affect our gut. It's going to affect our digestion. It's going to, and then our metabolisms. We talk about our hormones in that system that operates that, our immune system. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so, we don't rest enough, and we don't. And this is why, going back to the original point of, specifically working out more or doing more becomes counterproductive because your body is screaming at you. You are too stressed out. You need, you know, more strategy in the way that you're approaching this. So, so yeah, I mean, so many things to think about. So,
Yeah, even when I'm prepping for shows, like I get to a point where I can be pushing my body really hard with like cardio and exercise and my nutrition. I get to a point where my body becomes excessively inflamed. Like I will be
hmm
holding water, the weight will jump up. My digestion slows. And that's where having like a good coach and having someone in your corner who knows what the actual fuck they're doing. Because like if you have someone who doesn't know what they're doing, like the client I was telling you guys about, like the 600, the 800, like the 1,000 calories, literally her calories, like the most they got to were like 1,300. No refeeds. No refeeds. And if you're not familiar with the term refeed, that means like bringing her calories up to maintenance for like a few days. Which will
hmm
not cause you to gain fat, by the way, if you bring your calories up to maintenance for a few days. Or a diet break, which means like 3 to 7 days of taking a break from being in a deficit. Or strategically carb or calorie cycling, which is kind of like refeeds, but it's more strategic. This is where having good coaching and good help comes into place, because like if you have a bad coach, a coach who doesn't know what they're doing, they will just put your calories to like 900 calories a day, 600 calories a day, 1,000 calories a day, and just
hmm
keep you there forever. And then it's like, well, you're not dropping any weight, and you're like, why am I not losing weight? And they're like, I don't know, you're not following the plan. Like that's what I hear from a lot of women, and I'm like, that's terrible coaching. Like they should have brought your calories up. They should have gave you some reprieve. They should have overall brought your calories up, but at least gave you like a couple days of like 1,500, 1,800. And then your body would have been more responsive because your thyroid hormone would have started firing off again. Your cortisol would
hmm
lower. And this is exactly what I do when I'm in prep. Like, even when I'm deep in prep, I have a good coach I
hmm
work with, who is like,
hmm
hey, like your body's not responding. Let's refeed you. Let's take a break. But you cannot push your body into a wall as a female, because eventually your body will like give you the middle finger and it will say, I can't do this anymore. Like, we're too inflamed. Your
hmm
cortisol will be up. All your hormone, like it's literally a hormonal loop. Your hormones speak to your gut. Your digestion slows, and then it's like you're just kind of screwing yourself. So, like as Jordan was saying, like
hmm
it's stress. It's all stress related because your body gets so stressed out. It's like I can't do this anymore. So, kind
hmm
of coming back to the myth number 3 is, okay, why cardio is not the answer for women 30, 40, and 50 up. Like, Why is cardio
hmm
not the answer to getting that? Because all the women that come to us, they want to look more toned, they want to look leaner. Why is cardio alone not the answer?
Well, cardio, how do I want to start this? Um, Cardio has its place, but when we're talking about fat loss and weight loss, as great as cardio is when it comes to burning calories and increasing thermogenesis, it's not impacting your metabolism to the same degree or to the same benefit that lifting weights will, or that resistance training, or some form of, progressive overload. Um, cardio's, you're going to increase, your cardiovascular endurance, which is great. It can be positive for the heart, but so is weightlifting. So is resistance training,
Yeah, but
progressive
better.
overload. It's
When
yeah,
did when
and
what at
all.
the worst I ever looked was when I was really cardio
hmm
focused, running. When I started really well, when we started
hmm
dating, like, when I started getting
Well,
into bodybuilding and when we first got married, do you
hmm
remember how rapidly like my body changed? It was like, whoa, I started looking better. I just
yeah.
remember
hmm
being like, I've never looked like this in my life before.
hmm
I lost body
hmm
fat. My body was recomping, like, and women think like,
hmm
oh, I just need to do more cardio. Like,
hmm
I feel like that shift is happening, but I find the women we work with are still like very cardio focused still. Like,
There's
yeah,
there's still a mindset that, and there's still a thought that, oh, cardio, how much cardio do I need to add? How much cardio do I need to do?
yeah,
I always tell them cardio has its time, has its place, and can be a necessary tool to help us with body composition goals. But I think we need to really look at this. If your goal, if a woman has a goal to look better, and their vision of looking better is creating a little bit more muscle definition, not necessarily bigger muscles, but a little bit more size and shape. They want to sculpt, right?
yeah.
And if you're going to sculpt, and if we use an example of, somebody who's taking a hammer and a chisel to a piece of stone to create a piece of art, right? How can we do that with the body? Well, cardio's, you it's moving your feet in a linear direction, right? You're just moving your feet. Yes, your arms are going to swing a little bit,
You're not gonna
but
build muscle.
there's no resistance. And if we're taking if we need that hammer and that chisel to sculpt, and everyone uses the term tone, and I get it. I know exactly what that means,
Well, that's what women use
right?
because they're afraid of the word muscle. And I get it because
Exactly.
women think
Yeah.
if I start lifting weights, I'm gonna look like that,
Mhm.
manly woman's bodybuilder I see. And I tell my
Mhm.
clients, I'm like, the only way you will look like that is if you were taking a shit ton of steroids and you take
Mhm.
them for years and years and years and you're taking a high amount. But like women to
Yeah.
build that amount of muscle, it requires
Mhm.
like steroid usage, first of all. It
Yeah.
requires
Yeah.
like lifting like a power lifter.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, women do not naturally put on muscle that easily. It is not that rapid or that easy for a
Mhm.
female. And if they're in a surplus, it might feel like you put
Mhm.
on muscle easy, but you're probably just, you need to be more dialed in with your nutrition. That's what it
Mhm.
is. So that's where a lot of
Yeah.
women get scared of the word muscle. They're like, oh, if I put on muscle,
Mhm.
like, am I gonna get
Mhm.
bulky? And I'm like, well, do you want to be toned? And they're like, yeah, I want to be toned. I'm like, okay, it's
Mhm.
the same thing. Like,
Exactly.
they're
It's
like, I want to look like you,
yeah,
Brooklyn.
there's
I'm like, do you think I look bulky? Like, do you think I have a bulky physique?
mhm.
And they're like, no, I want to look like you. And I'm like, I lift heavy ass weights. Like Jordan, when we were in the gym the other week, how much weight did you put on my back to lunge with?
They have these straight bars. We got to 100 pounds for two. The last two sets were 100 pounds for you.
I mean, like ladies, like don't be afraid to
Mhm.
lift heavy because that's how you're gonna get toned. Um,
Mhm.
but you got to go heavy.
If
Like cardio is not the answer. It is just you're
mhm.
not gonna get there. Like what Jordan was saying. Like if you want to have that like look, I know women they come to me because they either want to look like me, they want to look like my mom, my sister, like my other clients. Who I'm sorry to break
Mhm.
it to you, my clients who've had the best results from like we think about Brittany, Katarina, like all my other, like your client Jen Jordan, like she was, oof, let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about her. We'll talk about her in a minute. Man, she was doing so much shit. And then you actually had her back off and she got super lean. She also had a thyroid condition. Let's actually talk about her. I'm like jumping all over the place, but she's a
Mm-hmm.
perfect person to talk about. So Jen had
Mm-hmm.
hypothyroidism. What was she doing when she first came to you, and what changes did you guys make to get her to like look as like amazing as she does now?
Well, it was a plan that worked with her schedule, right? It wasn't. And just to kind of quickly touch on something you mentioned, women use the term tone and bulky. I don't want to get bulky. I want to be tone, right?
Yeah.
And to go back to just to piggyback off your what you shared, and so all the women out there know, and I know you guys hear this from time to time, but you have to, in order to get bulky, massive muscle, there has to be a serious intentionality to do that in a very
Yeah.
specific way. And that does not come, from going to the gym and putting in the effort and lifting heavy here and there.
No, not
Lifting heavy
naturally.
is, no, there
Trust
has
me.
to be
Guys,
a real serious.
for those
Mm-hmm.
watching the video, I've been lifting weights for 10 years. 10 freaking years. I mean, you would think that my delts would
Mm-hmm.
be like massive and I'd have these huge muscles, but
Mm-hmm.
I also don't spend a lot of my time in surpluses. Like I try to my goal honestly has been to get to a physique that I can maintain, and I have. I maintain it all year round. Within a 5 to 7 pound range with my stage weight. But like what Jordan's saying, like that's been my whole point is like maintaining a lean, toned physique. And as a
Mm-hmm.
female, if you want to get really bulky, well, then go into a major surplus, get on some steroids, and go lift like a maniac. Sure, you'll probably start looking like a man, but the steroids are going to do that
Mm-hmm.
for you. Women just genetically don't have enough hormonal feedback for them to get super massively
Mm-hmm.
bulky. They just don't. Like,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
so
And
scared of getting bulky though. And I'm like, if you train like a bodybuilder, like me, like a competitor,
mhm,
and you train in a
mhm,
specific way, you won't bulk. Now, if you're going to train like a
no,
CrossFitter, if you want to do CrossFit, and I'm not hating on CrossFit at all, but if you train like a
mhm,
CrossFitter, you'll probably get a little bulkier because of the power movements that they're doing, all
yeah,
the compound movements. Your midsection is going to get bulky, but like my core has stayed like
mhm,
lean and toned. And this is after having a baby. And it's because of the
mhm,
way I train. Like we do isolation trainings with our clients. Like
mhm,
we do like, shoulders and
yeah,
back and legs. Like we don't do these massive like
mhm,
compound movements. So anyway,
yeah,
sorry to cut you off.
yeah. As you and I talk here about how our approach and the way that we coach women, just going back to the client you mentioned and talked to me about, and just kind of on this subject, you have to have intentionality regardless of the goal you're working towards. And for the women listening, lifting heavier, resistance training, very few of you are going to have the genetic, makeup that's going to allow for a bulk to take place. In general, across the board, the overwhelming majority of women are not going to achieve that look easily, the bulk
I've
look, right?
never in
So,
my years of coaching have I ever had a
mhm,
client who follows my training and my
mhm,
nutrition get to the point where they're like, I'm too bulky. My clients, if they follow my nutrition and my training and they stay very
mhm,
consistent with it, they're like, damn, I look like amazing. And I'm like,
but
I know.
yeah,
It's because we train the
mhm.
right way, we eat the right way.
Well, we're,
Period.
we're very strategic. We're very strategic in the way that we approach it, and you have to factor in everyday life. You have to factor in their responsibilities outside of their goals,
Yeah.
and you know just to give some insight here into the client that you mentioned, because
And
it's
we'll
all
we'll
ties in
post it
here.
below in the photos, or maybe
Hmm.
when we do
Oh,
this, Jordan,
sorry.
we can pull up her photo and show a picture because her
Um.
transformation is amazing. She's what 40,
Mm-hmm.
41, 40 in her 40s. So like
Mm-hmm.
the women we work with, and her
Mm-hmm.
transformation was amazing. But the cool thing
Yeah.
I loved about when you were coaching her is she was doing so
Mm-hmm.
much. You backed her off,
Mm-hmm.
and then she started actually seeing progress, and she looks amazing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was. We oftentimes say this. Sometimes less is more, right? What does that truly mean, right? Ties into each person's individual circumstances and what we
Yeah.
need to do for each one of them. But yeah, we've got to have something that works with your schedule. We have to have a plan that as we design plans, at least when I design it, right, there's all of these different methodologies or um, how do I don't know if methodologies is the right word to use. And so forgive me, I'm trying to be very precise now I say this, but there's different ways to program and there's different things to think about. There's anaerobics, there's aerobic, there's high intensity interval training. There's all these different things you can incorporate into a workout. And you've got to be, you can't just do 100% hit, right? Because we can talk a whole nother subject on how that, ties into what we first talked about and the intensity of
Yeah.
that's just going to do more and more and you get more stressed out, right? You've
Especially for
experienced that,
women that we
especially.
work with. Like we work with
Yeah.
working moms and they're already freaking stressed out. Like so
Hmm.
you throw a hit session on top of them and do make them do that 3 times a week? Hell no.
But,
Like and then you tell them
but,
to lift weights and diet?
hmm
Terrible idea, you know?
well, and then you can attest to that from your early 20s
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
bodybuilding and how your body had a hard time responding because the high intensity interval training was so, the volume of that was taking place at such a level of such a frequency that your body was stressed out to where it couldn't recover and do what it wanted to do.
No,
And
I
so,
probably looked the
however,
worst at that
mhm,
time. I and my energy
well,
suffered too, and I
that's,
was so hungry too.
hmm
It was like
well,
everything.
you didn't look bad. So you didn't look, so as we talk about this, right, I think creating a positive image, right? We all have an image we want to achieve as women. And focusing on that, you didn't look bad. However,
No, but
with
I
the
didn't
goals you
look
were,
how I look now in my 30s. Like
you're right.
I
But the
was
goal to get
inflamed.
to, hmm you're right. Yeah. And the goals you were working towards, that style of training was only, you know, creating just opposition. I know that's
Yeah.
the only word that's coming to my mind. It was that style was your body was fighting you. And I say that because to get back to kind of, the client that I was working with, we had to incorporate different elements of those things. Have a small amount of hit training. We had to have some anaerobic would be, resistance training, right? We're lifting for 12 repetitions for, 60 to 90 seconds at a time.
But
And then
that
there was
can
a
be your
little bit of,
hit. Like a lot of women think that
hmm
like they need to do hit
hmm
and weight train and do cardio. But like I'm sorry, if you are
yeah,
lifting heavy enough, that is your hit. Like that shit's hard. Like when I like we were doing
well,
lunges at the gym,
yeah,
you and me, and I had 100 pounds on my
hmm
back. I mean, I looked at my heart rate when I got done. My heart rate was at like
hmm
175 beats per minute. Like that's
yeah.
hard. Like,
Well,
that's anaerobic right there, you know?
and you're right. And far too often, I always get this question: do you want me to go to failure? Do you want me to go? I'm like, and I rarely have the women that I work with go to failure. It's just not necessary, you know. And so, oh my goodness, I get excited about this kind of a subject because the science and how you can build an effective workout plan for people's goals is so fun to me. Um, but you incorporate all these elements to the right degree, right? From you've got to have the right amount of hit kind of built in there without it actually being hit or feeling like hit.
So
You've got to
you need to
have,
frame that because now women are going to take this and be like, I need to go do hit. Jordan said I need to do hit. So
no,
what do you
yeah, I
actually mean
know.
by that?
So and so to step back, just kind of thinking about all these different things that women do and the terminology, the different aspects of building and designing a workout. To use I think the best way to explain this is using that client. She had a very limited window to work out, right?
Yeah.
Before she came to me, it was trying to push herself and trying to make her schedule fit the workout, where she was working out for, 75 to 90 minutes and then doing an additional hour of cardio on top of that. And she's trying to do that for 5 days a week.
Wow.
That's 2.5 hours you're trying to take out of your day that you probably try to wake up earlier to get it in. Well, that, you know, completely changes your sleep schedule. You've got 3 kids, you've got, a husband, you've got a home, you've got a full-time job that you're going into, you know, going back to this whole subject of how stress is so impactful. Well, looking at her time, it's like, well, how much time do you really have that you can truly dedicate to a workout plan? Right?
Yeah.
And it's like I could probably effectively do 4 days a week, right? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
perfect.
lot.
What we can do with 4 days is probably more effective than somebody trying to go and push themselves 6 days. And
That
now,
4 days is my sweet spot, I'll be honest. When I
mm-hmm,
started, like, after, so when I got fourth at North
mm-hmm,
Americans, I was doing 5 days a week for
mm-hmm,
like the last year. I actually was losing a lot of muscle mass. And I
mm-hmm,
said, you know what? I'm gonna just do 4 days of weights, and I'm gonna be really intentional when I'm in the gym though. I'm gonna like push my body, and I'm gonna lift
yeah,
heavy. I'm gonna push hard. And
mm-hmm,
I'll be honest, in that like 6 weeks, whew, I put on a lot of muscle. I mean, you could
mm-hmm,
see it in my hamstrings and my
yeah,
shoulders. And it was because I
mm-hmm,
stopped doing so much volume work, and I just said, I'm
mm-hmm,
just gonna be intentional. So that makes sense why that worked better for Jen. And
mm-hmm,
honestly, a lot of women think
yeah,
like, oh, I need to go to the gym 6, 7 days a week. And it's like, no, you probably just need 3 or 4 days. And that's enough.
exactly. And yeah, let me kind of reframe what I was saying. It's you can get if you're efficient and strategic, you can get just as good, if not better, results from working out 3 to 4 days a week as you can working out or trying to push yourself to six.
Yeah,
And when you're strategic, when it works with your schedule, you know, doing a lot of supersets, right? That's an element of the hit and anaerobic, right? Where we get the
yeah,
heart rate up, we keep it up a little bit longer, we get the blood flowing, and with the heart rate up elevated, that means more blood's pumping and flowing, right? There's the aerobic, the supersets add a level of hit training to a very, very small degree, but then the actual weight training itself is the anaerobic,
yeah,
right? Because we're only doing each set for, 60 to 90 seconds, most likely. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And we're not going to failure. We
yeah.
didn't push to failure. And to be honest, we took away the cardio for a while. We didn't even do cardio. And then we added it back in just because it was something that she's like, I do love it. I don't want to stop doing it. And
Mm.
so we added it, but we only needed to do like 20 minutes, and we didn't need to do it
How much was she
every
doing
day.
before that? An hour?
Like I said, yeah, it was like pushing it to 2.5 hours
That's
of trying to get all of
craziness.
that time in a day.
So you dropped her cardio down to like nothing. You had her back off her
Yeah.
weights and just had her doing 4 days, and then she started drop. Obviously, though, we forget to talk about the nutrition portion.
Yeah, and
Um,
this, yeah, we're being very specific about the exercise element, but we've got to
but
remember we got
that
to step
allowed her
back.
body. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that
Hmm.
allowed her body to like decrease inflammation, so her body could respond to the nutrition.
Hmm.
Because if she continued to do that with good nutrition, even her body would
Hmm.
still stay in an inflammatory state. Her cortisol will stay up because she already had a thyroid condition. I bet her T3 to
Hmm.
T4 conversion was really, really off. Because her body was so
Hmm.
inflamed from over exercising. And yes, overtraining is a thing, especially women are very susceptible to it because we will
Hmm.
push and push and push. So it makes sense. And then you dialed her nutrition in, and then she dropped weight really, really
Yeah.
quick. And she's a type 1 diabetic too, with
Yeah, I was going to say
hypothyroidism.
on top of that, we got to remember she not only had hypothyroidism but was a type 1 diabetic. So that added a whole nother element to say, well, how can we be the most strategic with our workout plan, our
Yeah,
nutrition? We got to fit it to her schedule, right? She has to indicate what everyday life looks like to her. And then how can we design the most efficient plan that she
yeah,
can just kind of seamlessly integrate into her everyday life, you know? And then from there, you're right, we have to step back as we've just hyper focused on the nutrition or the exercise element of the process. Here's what I like to share, and I probably share this more than Brooklyn does, and I get this from the education that I got. So this isn't, I can't claim this, but I love this as I've learned and received my certifications, and as I've received the knowledge that I've gained and through my experience, and as I continue to recertify and learn more. Health was broken down into six elements or six aspects. And it was, yes, you've got your physical, right, which encompasses the nutrition, the exercise, those kinds of things. But then you have the mental component, you have the social element of it, right? We have the existential side of our health, and there's a couple more there, but we also got to remember that this was a full-on coaching experience where, yes, nutrition and exercise were the vehicles we used to change how our body looked from just kind of actions we took day in and day out. But we also stepped back and talked about all the other things going on in life. giving her an
Yeah.
outlet to speak, to almost like a therapy session where she was able to just unload a little bit from time to
Yeah.
time.
But this is important as coaches though, because and
Mhm.
this we can kind of come back to like why our coaching is different with First Queen and why we
Mhm.
structure it the way we do is because there's a lot of women who think, "Oh, I just need a new program. I just need a new program. I just need a new program." And it's like, "No, you need a coach. You need someone who
Mhm.
like so like when you're hearing a client talk to you, Jordan, and like she's
Mhm.
laying on you all this crap that's coming at her, you're like, "Okay, I'm hearing that you're stressed out. Maybe instead of doing 5 days of weights, maybe we just do three, and
Mhm.
maybe we need to do a refeed day to day because you're feeling really stressed out, and
Mhm.
maybe instead of a workout tonight you just go spend time with your family and go to bed."
Mhm.
Like that's where the difference between a program where it's just XYZ, follow this very strictly, and a coach comes into play, because a coach can
Mhm.
like like yes, it's a therapy session, but as coaches it's not just a not for us, it's not
Mhm.
like them doing therapy, but it's also us like, wait, I heard you say this and this and this. Okay, let's modify, because it sounds like to me you're feeling really overwhelmed. So let's adjust. And that's where good
Mhm.
coaching comes into place. And that's honestly like I feel like why a lot of women
Yeah.
get it wrong is because they hire honestly
Mhm.
amateurs in the fitness industry who are either running their business very egotistically
Mhm.
or just very cookie cutter, and
Mhm.
they're either like, well, you either follow my program or you suck, you're the worst, or you
Mhm.
fit in this box or I don't know how to help you. And that's where like in our coaching
Mhm.
program we're so different, and this is why you help Jen, is because you would actually
Mhm.
like listen to her and hear her, and this is how we are with all our clients, and then we would make
Mhm.
adjustments according to what they're telling us that's going on in their lives. Like that's where good coaching comes into play, and that's where women
Yeah.
see like
Mhm.
actual transformations, not just I lost 10 pounds and gained it back 6 months later, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I say the things that I do about the coaching, right? I love it when women are able to open up. Even though I'm a male, right? With you being by your side, you know, from your 20s, right, to where you are today, all the changes you've, made to your planning, your programming, the coaching you've experienced. And, I love it when women are able to share. I want them to. I'm there to listen. But then it's taking that listening and say, sometimes getting it off can be stress relieving in and of its own, or in and of itself, just having the opportunity to talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, and just to kind of go back to the very beginning and what you just mentioned about the way that a lot of other coaches approach things. There's some great coaches out there. I don't want to knock everyone, but you do see this far too often, and it's frustrating and sad. And far too often, most coaches or trainers, the only thing they know what to do is lower calories, lower
Yeah.
calories. Okay, we got to
No
work out more. Oh, we
strategies.
got to add more cardio. And they
Yeah.
don't understand the intricacies of the body, how it's working, the chemistry, the hormonal aspect, the stress response, and how, well, what about all the other things going on in the day? You go to a trainer, they're not going to, you might talk to them a little bit, but they're not really going to take a deep dive into all the other elements of health or just everyday
Mhm.
life that have just as big of an impact on this process. And as great and as necessary as nutrition and exercise are, you have to be strategic about it at the end of the day. And
Especially
if
when
you
you're
don't have a
dealing with
plan,
women like in the
yeah.
30s, 40s, 50s, like you require strategy. You're no longer in your 20s. You're not a you're when you're dealing with women, I'm sorry, but like you're not a man. Like women's
Mhm.
bodies are not male bodies. Like hormones are, I saw a chart and there it was like men's hormones. It was like across the board. And then it was and it was
Mhm.
within like a month span, and it was like females hormones, and it was like
Mhm.
and it was like, yeah, and that's why women need coaches who understand not the
Mhm.
human body, but the female body, and also the female psyche too, because
Mhm.
as coaches, like we see it with women, like they're up and then they're down and then they're up and then they're down. And I mean, Jordan sees it with me all
Mhm.
the time. I'm up here, I'm down here, I'm up here, I'm down here, and like
Yeah.
you've got to have a coach who understands that, and if you don't, like you're gonna feel like you're the problem.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a I say use the term strategic. It really is. It's got to be individualized. It's got to be
Yeah.
specific to your everyday life, what you're going through.
And
No two
outcome
people are the
based.
same, and Yeah, and how does your body respond? I got another great example here I'll share with really quick. In
I want
addition
to
to
post these, just a side note, let's try to post these at least in the
mhm,
comments or in these videos when we repost this, Jordan,
mhm,
so we can show these women these actual physical transformations happening. Um,
mhm,
because I do want women to see like this is the demographic of women that we help. This
mhm,
is what we do all day. Like me and Jordan have been running this business like since Brecken was
mhm.
what, 8 months old? Long
Um,
time. And then before that, me and you used to
yeah.
coach bodybuilders. Um, I mean, we've been
Mhm,
coaching people since like when we first started, even when we first got married, we were training
mhm.
women. I mean, we've been doing
Well, we
this
were,
for what, 12 years?
if not more. Yeah, I mean, even before we got married, there was people, we friends, and it wasn't,
You
you
helped
know,
me initially with my
it
stuff.
wasn't, well, it wasn't what it is today, right? But before we
No.
even got married, it was the a passion for both of us, and
You
it
helped
just
our
carried
friends
into
with
what
some
we're doing today.
competitions.
And
You helped me
yep,
get it with
and
my stuff though. You're a reason why, like, with
well,
my stuff, you helped me get into
mm,
competing and start lifting,
mhm,
but back then, think
mhm.
about back 2013, that was really taboo for a female to like lift, like actually lift weights.
Yeah, it was. I know you still hear it today. You still hear it today. Oh, I don't want to lift heavy. I don't want to lift weights. It's
I want to
like,
get
but you
bulky.
need to. If we're gonna take the hammer and the chisel and every almost all women tone, if we're gonna tone, that's essentially we're sculpting and chiseling it to the vision you have for
No.
yourself. And your vision is your vision. So how can we help you, achieve that? And yeah, you're not going to get there cardio alone. You're not going to get there by overtraining and under eating.
And,
You're
and let's talk about Ozempic for a minute because
mhm,
that's a big one. I feel like a lot of women are like, "Oh, I'm going to look amazing if I just take Ozempic." I'm like, "No, you're not. If anything, you're going to lose a lot of muscle and
mhm,
if you are not lifting and eating enough while taking Ozempic." And let's be honest,
mhm.
most women who get on Ozempic starve themselves so much. It is like
Well,
it's terrible
and
because
there's
they're so significantly under eating. They're losing so much muscle mass. And so that's the problem I have with it.
mhm,
Is here's the thing. If you want to take it, it's totally fine, but you have to be smart.
mhm,
You have to make sure you're getting
mhm,
enough carbs, fats, and proteins. I have a few clients who have decided to go on GLP-1s, and I'm like, that is your decision. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if you choose to
mhm,
go on it, you need to make sure you're eating enough and your digestion is still good and you are training heavy, because if you're not, you're going to just end up looking in the mirror one day and being, you know, 20 pounds down, but like being like,
mhm,
I don't look good.
mhm,
I'm skinny fat.
mhm.
What the heck? And that's where a lot of women
Yeah.
get frustrated because they're like, oh, I got on the GLP-1, but I still don't like the way I look. I'm like, well, it's because all you did was lose pounds. You didn't build muscle and lose fat. And building muscle and losing fat, I'm sorry, someone who's bodybuilded for almost a decade, it takes time and it takes
Mhm,
effort and it takes strategy. So as Jordan's saying, like, you have to have strategy. You can't just like be like, oh, I'm just going to do cardio and eat less. And I feel like women think
mhm,
that they're going to recomposition their body by magically taking a GLP-1 and magically starting just to a small weightlifting program and eating healthier. But if you're a female and you're
mhm,
already at like a moderately healthy weight, or you're maybe even 10 pounds
mhm,
above a healthy weight, it's going to require strategy
mhm,
and a coach who knows what they're doing and someone who can make like outcome based adjustments. Period. Like,
mhm,
I mean, Jordan, you've
mhm.
seen that with me. Like, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place with my body composition, but when I'm getting ready for shows, how strategic do we have to be coming into my shows to get me as lean as I get?
Oh, I mean, very, very. We. Oh, there's so many things to say, but you're strategic. Nutrition wise isn't just a constant, 3-month run of
No.
900 calories a day. That's not what it is.
No. I would
It's
die.
it's yeah, and it's not 3 months it's not just 90 minutes of cardio every day for 3 months at a time.
No.
It's pushing yourself and then resting and recuperating strategically. Right now, bodybuilding is a whole different sport, right? When we talk about just women with general weight loss and fat loss goals. And I don't know if general is the right way to put it, but if the goal is I want to lose fat, I want to look better, I want to like the way that I feel and feel more comfortable, you know. But yes, we need to be strategic based on an individual level with each person. But talking about you and bodybuilding, you've made it a lifestyle. We were able to train for a competition, come out of it, and have the same physique, you know, day in and day out, and maintain it because you've learned how to do it in a way that works. And you don't have to restrict yourself. You can go out to eat, you can enjoy things. But I would say one thing that a lot of people, a lot of women don't emphasize enough is the principle of what's called recuperation,
Yeah,
and
recovery, yeah.
which is rest,
Yeah.
and how you apply that, and that's not just your sleep, but that's day in and day out. That's resting properly between sets. I mean, I could go into all those details. But real quick, I want to share a couple of quick things on the topics and the subjects, especially, and I'll get into GLP-1s here just briefly, as Brooklyn talked about. We talked about a client who was hypothyroidism, also had, type 1 diabetes, and what she saw, just the way she was able to sculpt her body, right? I just had a client, no, I'm still working with her, and I love her. She is absolutely incredible and amazing. We started out with a workout plan that, she wanted, and I really, when I coach, I really try to incorporate both wants and needs. Okay, this is what you like, this is what you want. You feel really good doing this. How do we plan this in so that you can, because that's going to lead to the most enjoyability, right? If you can factor in and really balance both of those things, wants and needs, right? Well, we started out, with like a 5-day plan, right? And I was very strategic in the way that was built. Well, then 6 weeks into it, at about the sixth, seventh week, we brought it down to 4 workouts a week because that's what she wanted. We wanted to get to a place where this was a lifestyle where she didn't feel like, oh my goodness, I really have to dedicate an hour out of my day this many days a week.
Yeah.
We're in our, I think we're in our 14th week together, and or our 13th or 14th week, and we've now brought it down to 3 days of workouts a week. And she just dropped another half a pound this week. And she's
Mhm.
actually seen the biggest weight drops from, weeks 6 or 7 to now, weeks 12 and 13.
Yeah.
And we've strategically done it to where we're efficient, we're strategic, we're very intentional with the way the workouts are planned. But she's now only working out 3 days a week. And she gets to go have brunch. She gets to do the things she loves with her church. She gets to be there for her kids. She's got, 3 kids. I mean, she gets to do all of these things that, and still handle all of the everyday responsibilities. And now she has something that's sustainable. And so just to lay out an example of how that experience and working with her is just, the prime example of getting to that place where this idea of less can be more, and we don't need to overtrain and undereat.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share that because it applies directly to kind of what we're talking about, and, here. And just to get GLP-1s, you talked about how that impacts. Yes, you're going to lose weight. It has a major impact on our appetite. It literally takes away your want and desire to eat. And that's the feedback that almost every woman that I've worked with who takes it is experienced. I've worked with women that, yes, they have weight to lose, but didn't see a single pound lost from adding
Yeah.
that GLP-1
Same.
in, but they did not eat. Um, I've seen other
It
women
almost
lose
like made
insane
their
amounts
body
of
like
weight.
more hormonally
Hmm.
like almost like hormonally pissed off because
Hmm.
they're like, well, you weren't eating before and now you're really not eating, and now we're not like pooping at all because our
Hmm.
digestion slowed because of the gastroparesis. Like, here's the thing, if
Hmm.
you're a female, you decide to take a GLP-1, you just have to be smart about it. But a lot of women do
Hmm.
it because they're like, well, I'm just going to do it just so I can lose weight quick, and it's like, I'm sorry, but you'll look worse on that. I've seen so many women get on those things. I've seen them at the gym, and I can tell that they're on GLP-1s because they lose a lot of, I can see it. They like lose all their muscle. And I'm like, girl, you had a butt and you had nice little shoulders and now they're gone. Like, it's okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to take it, that's fine. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't ever want to shame women and make them feel bad about taking
Mm-hmm.
them, because I do understand for some
Mm-hmm.
women it is life changing for them. However, my whole point about this
Mm-hmm.
is you need to be sure that you are eating enough to drive or maintain muscle mass,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, your
Yeah.
muscle mass as a female is very important. Studies show that like
Mm-hmm.
as women, we lose muscles, we get older, and muscle is like directly linked to like if you don't have enough muscle or you aren't like
Mm-hmm.
working on building muscle or maintaining muscles, you get older, cancer, heart disease, like all of these
Mm-hmm.
major scary things. And not to mention,
Mm-hmm.
like from a look standpoint, I'm sorry, I've never seen a woman that I've looked at that has it's just skin and bones and I'm like, yeah, she looks great. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I my eye is attracted to the female with the muscle tone. And I know all the women
Yeah.
listening to this are. So sorry, I cut you
And
off.
you're good. And I think, again, this could create a whole nother podcast subject, right? And this is me, this is the way I always approach it. I never want to tell somebody what they need to do, or I never want to tell a woman how they need to look or what's correct or this is the best way to do it. If I hope that makes sense, right? And what I mean by that is just to on the discussion of GLP-1s. Maybe some women do like that really skinny model look, right? Where there's not a whole ton of muscle tone.
There's no muscle
I get
tone.
it, right? If that's what
Victoria's
you
Secret
want, that's what you.
models, they're just like
Mhm.
they're just rail
Yeah.
thin. I don't think
Mhm.
anybody listening to this comment in the
Mhm.
comment section if you want to look strong and fit or if you want to
Mhm.
just look skinny. Because I can
Yeah.
guarantee you none of the women listening to this want to look skinny. Because
Yeah, and that's
it
yeah.
is not a desirable look. It is not a popular look anymore for women, to be
Mhm.
honest. It's just not. Women want to
Mhm.
look strong. They want to look fit because it's
Yeah.
empowering.
I I I'm with you 100% because yeah, the clients that we work with, they want tone, right?
They want to
I
look,
use that word
yeah.
tone, right? They want that wow, I look in the mirror and I'm not overly muscular, but I'm not just skin and bones. Yes, their desire is to achieve that. Um I do know though there are still some women out there that would prefer just a very skinny look. It's just their thing. Now, yes, Victoria's Secret models are very thin, they're slender. They do work out in a very different way. That's the look
Lines.
that they're going after. But
Yeah.
and that's fine. That's great. And I know some women, GLP-1s have their place. And as you shared, they can be absolutely life-changing for many people out there. But too many people are using them as a shortcut to lose weight when they don't have severe insulin problems. And I saw this incredible post the other day and I saved it and it was amazing because it didn't put GLP-1s in a negative light. And it says they're changing the game. However, you might lose weight from it, but it is not going to have an effect or it does not impact the way you can build muscle. It impacts your appetite and it impacts weight loss. But it was designed for those with if I recall everything that I know about this correctly, it was designed specifically for insulin issues,
Insulin
right?
resistance or, so like I see a lot of women with like what
Yeah.
I have, PCOS or insulin resistance
Mhm.
or, borderline type 2 diabetic or full blown type 2 diabetic. But
Mhm.
it's being
Yeah.
used and abused by people that, to be honest, they would be better off spending their money on coaching and working with someone to help them better their
Mhm.
relationship with food and work on like building
Yeah.
lean muscle and like losing
Yeah.
fat. They'd probably also be very much happier with their body composition by doing that versus
Yeah. It's
a GLP-1.
the questions I think and there's still so much data left to acquire about
Because it's
GLP-1s, but
so new. Yeah.
what we know about it is and everything that I've read about it is you might lose weight on it. You might lose a significant amount of weight. But is it going to improve metabolism? And
No
one of the absolute best ways to improve metabolism
muscle.
is through lifting weights and building muscle. You've got to have the
Muscle.
proper nutrition, muscle. You've got to have the proper nutrition as well, right? I shouldn't say you've got to have good nutrition as well. We've got to have good habits nutritionally. We've got to be
Yeah.
able to enjoy life. We have to be able to enjoy life. But you've got to have a good solid foundation of nutritional habits combined with a really great workout routine. But I think the one challenge with the biggest challenge with GLP-1s is We're using it, people are using it as a shortcut to lose weight. And they're not thinking about, well, what happens after I get off of this? Do I have the
Mhm.
habits necessary to maintain? Am I really boosting my metabolism, to a place that when I'm off of these, I can sustain this, but also feel good, feel healthy?
Yeah, but you don't get
Um,
that from an injection. You get that from working with someone who knows
yeah.
how to help you do that and teach you. Because a lot of women, those are skills that have not ever been
Hmm.
developed. And honestly, mindset shifts too. For a lot of
Hmm.
women, it's they undereat so much, they need to learn how to eat enough and they need to learn how to train the right way. So, everybody
Hmm.
thinks like, oh, I'll just do it. Like I had a client the other day and she goes, well, should I just go get on GLP-1? And I'm like, let's talk through this for a minute. Let's talk about
Hmm.
this for a minute. And I said, how long have
Hmm.
you been really working at this? She's like, well, for 4 weeks. I'm like, so even if
Hmm.
you get on a GLP-1, you might lose 5 pounds, but you might
Hmm.
look worse and you'll probably feel worse because you're still struggling with binge eating. I've had clients
Hmm.
come to me that are binge eating and they get on GLP-1s. Again, I don't want to make people feel bad because I do have a few clients that are
Hmm.
on GLP-1s because they need to be, their doctors would put them on like
Hmm.
one of the medications
Hmm.
just to get them.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this about GLP-1, but I just want to
No.
digress and I want to move forward in the conversation and say if you
Hmm.
choose to take a GLP-1, that is your decision. However, you
Hmm.
will not look like me. You will not look like my mom. You won't look like my sister from taking a GLP-1. You will not look like a bodybuilder. You will not look like a bikini competitor or a fitness model by taking a GLP-1.
Hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
We do not look like
Well.
this by taking GLP-1s. We eat enough, we train heavy,
Hmm.
and we manage our stress. And that's it,
Hmm.
period. And a lot of women think like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'll just do this." And I you said a shortcut, but it's actually not a shortcut. It's literally them just
Hmm.
putting a band-aid on it and saying, "Okay, well maybe I'll get
Yeah.
there." And it's just another thing of being frustrated because you could take a GLP-1 for 5 years and still not look the way you want to look because the way you want to
Hmm.
look requires strategy and intentionality
Hmm.
from your training, from your nutrition to your stress management, and honestly, having a coach who knows what the
Hmm.
freaking crap they're doing. So,
Well, you're not gonna. Um, I say, I mean, we could use all these different terminologies, shortcut, band-aid, things like that. It has its place. It has its, effectiveness. But what it's not going to do is replace habits. If you don't have good habits, maintaining what you achieve after a use of something like that, if your body responds well in the sense of weight loss to it, without those habits, far too often what we see is the yo-yo effect. I
yeah,
do this extreme thing, and I'm not saying GLP-1s are extreme. I just use that extreme because you go back 5 years ago, it was extreme dieting, right? It was
it was a
all these different
HCG
methods.
diet, whatever that diet was.
HCG, right there. There was,
Hmm.
20 different diets with a different name, but most of them were highly, highly restrictive
Well,
approaches.
what women are struggling with now, still to this day, unfortunately, is they're under muscled, and I'm gonna just say it. They don't have enough muscle. Like I'll have clients that are like, "Well, do you think I need to lose more fat?" And I'm like, you probably need to have more muscle. Like you probably need to build more muscle and you probably need to lose more body
Hmm.
fat. But a GLP-1 is not going to help you do that. That requires nutrition strategy. I know because I've worked with women who
Hmm.
are on GLP-1s and we end up actually going off of them because it's not actually helping them. Is they're just kind of burning through the money they're spending on it.
Hmm.
It can be used as a tool 100%. But if you do not have other tools in your pocket, you're
Hmm.
gonna like I don't want to. Oh, I don't want to like make women feel bad about using it. That's what I want to really
If
preference on here because I made
well,
a post about this the other day. How I hate that women use GLP-1s, lose a bunch of weight, and then claim to be coaches. And I got some really hurtful messages and some really hurtful comments, like
mhm,
some wickedly mean. And
yeah,
I want to
well,
tell
it's
women like it's okay if you choose to take it. There's nothing wrong. That's your
mhm,
choice. However, if you want to look better and you want to feel better, that alone is not enough. You need to make sure you have enough in your nutritional, like you need to
mhm,
make sure nutritionally you're eating enough. And you need to make sure you're
yeah,
training the
well,
right way. And then that's going to get you to where you want to go and you'll be able to sustain it. Period.
like I said, I'll have to find that post about the whole GLP-1s and just how it started out, right? It talked about changing the game, but then as you progress through the slides, it got deeper into, if you lack the foundation and you lack habits, what's going to happen after you stop using it? And I think that's the question that everyone needs to ask them. One of the questions everyone needs to ask themselves is, okay, if I take this, how long do I expect to be taking it? What happens
Yeah.
when I get to where I want to be? And if I go off of this, how is my body going to respond afterwards? Do I have a good foundation? Do I have the right habits in place to live a healthy lifestyle beyond the use of stuff like that?
Yeah.
And like you said, we don't want to make this isn't a shame or a guilt trip for taking them, because I mean, you and I both know women who have personally benefited and have had life-changing experiences from that. But
Hmm.
there's, a lot of underlying conditions for why. But for women that just take it just as a weight loss boost, while it might be helpful, if we talk in terms of building muscle and sculpting a physique, and really developing, you know, boosting metabolism and developing a look of a strong, beautiful, I mean, just this look that we look in the mirror and we almost have to take a double take at ourselves. The women that walk, this is what I tell them. I said, you want to walk by the mirror, right? And you want to walk by to the point where you have to come step back and take a double take, because you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, look at this. Look at what I've done. Look at what I've built for
Yeah.
myself, right? You want to feel so confident that you're just like, I not only look good in my clothes, but I can sit here and look at myself in the mirror and just be like, um, you know what I mean? Like that's what you want. And so at the core, at the end of this, if you lack a foundation, you lack the habits, because you've never been taught, or you've never learned, or you've never had the accountability to help you get there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what else you do, you're going to end up just program after program. You're going to focus on the wrong things, and you're not going to develop what's necessary to sustain and have the vitality and the longevity and the look that you want to achieve. You
Yeah.
lack those things, you don't have those, doesn't matter what you do,
Yeah.
you
Amen.
know?
Amen. I think we'll wrap it up there because I think that that's, like at the end of the day, like if, I think originally what was our subject about? The reason why women are not losing weight, it's just because you don't have the right support, you don't have the right coaching, you don't have the right plan in place. And women think they need to just the right program. No, you need the right help, you need the right coach who knows what they're doing. And I don't want to toot
Mhm,
our own horn, but honestly, I don't know of anybody else that does what we do at the
mhm,
level that we do. We really dive in with our clients. Like,
mhm,
and honestly, the reason why we created the business like this, because I've had some business coaches like, oh, you should just go to subscription only, like, really blast yourself and just do, and I'm like, honestly, that takes away from the reason why I started this business in the first place, is
mhm,
because when I was in the gym training women, I got to talk to them and like hear them, and like they would tell me
mhm,
all their problems, and then I would be able to like actually help them. Like that's the difference with what we do in Fierce Queen Fitness.
mhm,
Like, Jordan's one of our coaches as well, and then you've got Amanda, you got Dakota, you have my mom. Like we dive in with our clients. We get very personal with our clients in a good way, because we're actually able to help them. And this is where I feel like a lot of women, maybe this is why you're stuck, is because like
mhm,
you're not getting the right support that you need. And when you get the right support and the right coaching, I swear I literally have clients who are like, this is
mhm,
like, I had a client tell me today, she started crying while we were on the call, and she goes, this is the best part of my day every day is when I get to talk to you, or the best part of my week is when I get to talk to you. And I do think it's also because they have someone who is excited for them, someone who believes in them. Like all these things are so important. And so like if you're struggling to reach your goal, like maybe it's because you haven't had someone in your corner, like a coach or even a mentor who can push you to that level and get you to that level and cares enough about you to help you get there in the right way and in the healthy way. Um, and so, if you're interested in that level of coaching, I'm just going to announce on here, and this is actually going to come out next Monday. It'll be Monday, Cyber Monday. We do have a Black Friday scholarship that we are offering to women coming into our program. This means highly, highly discounted coaching. This is our best sell of the entire year. Like, we actually don't really offer any sales really ever because we do offer a high level of coaching. So this is it. Like, if you have been like, I want to work with Brooklyn or I want to work with one of her team members, comment below scholarship or message me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you find me, and say scholarship. Let's chat. Let's get
Mhm.
you into this type of coaching, and let's get you to transform your life for 2026. Because
Mhm.
I've been a part of a lot of amazing transformations, and the one thing I hear from my clients, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this because it's an honor, to be honest, is when I have
Mhm.
women say, "You've changed my life." And it's
Mhm.
because it's not that I always remind them, I'm like, I didn't change your life. You changed your life. You made
Mhm.
a decision to invest financially. You made a decision to trust me. And when you did that and you actually ran
Mhm.
with it and you allowed me to help you, you changed your whole life. That was you. And so, like,
Mhm.
for the females listening to this, if you're like, I'm ready for 2026 to be my year, to be the year that, like, I take back control of my health and I get the body and the life and the health of my dreams that I've always wanted, just comment below scholarship or message me scholarship. Let's chat. Like, this is what we do all day. Like, me and Jordan,
Mhm.
even not on here, we talk about these things because we deal with it all day. So
Mhm.
again, if you're interested, message us scholarship. I'd love to chat with you. I This is literally what I'm passionate about. I truly, and I told my husband, like, we were talking about something and I said, no matter what, I'm always going to coach because I love it. I love helping women. I
Mhm.
really, truly am super passionate about this. So comment below scholarship if you're interested. And thank you guys for hopping
Mhm.
on. Jordan, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think just, yeah, to tie it all together, we're passionate. We love what we do, and to see the women be successful means everything to us. And Brooklyn shared something. We want to work with women for as long as we possibly can. Why? Because we build strong relationships with them, but we love what we do, and we know that life comes with all its ups and downs. However, we want to empower each woman that we work with the skills so that they can do this on their own. They
Yeah.
don't have to rely on somebody else to do it for them. At some point, you know, I mean, like I said, we want to work with women. We love what we do. You know, this is our passion. This is our life. Health is at the top of our priority list, and we love sharing that with everyone that we work with, and even those that we don't work with. Right? We want this to impact you in a way that you leave listening to this being like, there are answers.
Yeah.
I know I can do this. There is a way, and we're not here to um, how do I want to say this? We're not here. We don't shame anyone that we work with. We want you to be the best version of the self that you want to be, and our aim is to help you do that in the healthiest way possible. Not just get you there, but get you there in a way that you feel amazing, that your energy levels are through the roof. And as Brooklyn was sharing, the last thing I'll say is we've doubled the amount of spots that, you know, we opened this year with our Black Friday sale. And even though you'll hear about this on Cyber Monday, um, for those interested, we're going to make sure that there's a spot, if you're really serious. And so pay attention to all Brooklyn social media channels, all the Fierce Queen social media channels, and ask us questions about it, and we look forward to just continuing to serve, the amazing, beautiful women out there who are listening, who we work with, and who we will work with in the future.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hopping on today's podcast. Again, we've got Jordan here, and then next week we'll resume with our regular queens. I'll probably try to have Jordan on like every 4 to 5, 6 weeks. And I thank you guys for hopping on, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.